What's up, y'all? Kyle Hamilton here. I want to give a quick shout out to Lucas, Connor, and Ryan in the Week 0 podcast.
Pretty open, running out of time, finally throws, and it is gone! Touchdown, Tyrell Roberts!
Hit backwards, up in the air, it's on the ground, it is down! It is over, and the Irish have knocked off number one Clemson!
Herbert's got it. Stiff arm again. Quarterback in the clear. Inside the 10. A hat-trick of touchdown from Justin Herbert.
How ironic that
I just realized that we had that.
As soon as Lucas mentioned that, the very clip we used that we changed it to was Wisconsin. So what's up, guys? Welcome to the Week 0 podcast. As you can see, we had a new intro with my Baltimore Ravens, Kyle Hamilton, doing a shout out. Lucas, we can thank Lucas for that. But I'm your host, Connor. Bruce Smith is the best ever Doherty. To my left is Ryan, number one ranked class Fravel. Below him is Lucas, Ducks by 13. I guess you haven't changed it.
Nope,
McKnight.
I'm keeping it.
Ducks by 13.
Keeping
Ducks
it
by
until
13.
week 1.
And then below me is he runs the Embrace the Grind channel. We need to put his channel link in the description or something, or put in the chat. Jonathan, I was about to say Jimmy, but Jonathan, or as he called it, F face, but I will not actually swear on camera here, as I'm getting my computer's so damn slow. I'm getting all my notifications right now. My computer's literally been running for 2 hours. Such a piece of crap. But welcome to Week 0 podcast, guys. And Jonathan, we're glad to have you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited. I haven't been live in a few months, so hopefully we don't screw up too much. We have a good time today.
Oh, don't worry. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't screwed up in some way yet to begin with. We usually have a screw up right at the beginning, and then we get that out of the way pretty quick. But
Do you have the banners?
Oh God, no, we don't. We don't have any banners. Ryan, you do the banners while we talk to Jonathan. Someone do the banners while we do. Ryan, you'll have to do it while we talk to Jonathan. So Jonathan, how long have you been doing your channel? Just let you talk about your channel real quick for a bit.
So it's been a little over 2.5 years probably at this point. I started off with XFL content, started previewing XFL teams, repping the XFL shirt right now. You can't really see it with the way the banners are set up.
Yeah, go Bowhawks.
I was a New York Guardians fan, born and raised Jersey, so got to represent the tri-state area. But then when COVID hit and everything, screwed everything up, moved over to doing player backstories and been doing that, college football, and got an actual rebrand coming up in the next few months of some exciting stuff I've got going on behind the scenes. I can't wait to share with everybody.
Awesome, sweet. And what's your best performing video that you've done before? What do you think?
So I did the best performing video is called "The Difference Between Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3," which has over 400,000 views on it.
Damn, nice.
Oh yeah.
And then I did a conspiracy theory video on Boise State and TCU from back in the late 2000s.
2006, 2007. And stuff like that.
Yes, around that time period. I think it was the 2008-2009 year when they got matched up in that Fiesta Bowl together, and that did pretty well as well. And that was a really fun one to make. And I got Downfall of the Big East video coming soon.
You'll be talking about Miami and Virginia Tech in there, and obviously
yes, I will.
Everything else. You'll be having some fun with that, I'm sure.
I have everything written out. Just got to record and edit it.
There you go. Yeah, that's my biggest thing is I want to get into doing this, but life is I've always been worried about where to find the footage and stuff to do videos like that. But I guess you just got to try and find what you can and, do whatever you can and just deal with it, I guess.
I am not a lawyer. I am not going to give advice.
You just do what Blake Harris does and post a practice film throughout all of his videos. That's all he did. He posts practice film in the background and then talks over it.
I'm hoping to have my own content going soon. So what I'll be filming, I'll be recording, and some exciting things coming soon. So I won't be worrying about that as much in the long run. But right now it's
Sweet.
Are we stretching this fair use thing a little bit from time to time?
Maybe a little bit.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Looks like we just got someone that came across, I guess, the Week Zero Productions channel. So keep grinding, which fits in perfectly with your name as well. So, Ryan, you didn't do the banners. What are you doing, dude?
I had to just put that in the.
Oh my god, I
was putting the link in there. I got it.
No, I got it.
Ryan only does all of our editing.
I only do all the
everything.
Editing,
he does everything. He does
everything.
Ryan, do you even actually have like a job, or is that just what you are?
I actually do now. I haven't.
He's a YouTuber.
I'm a YouTuber / I also now have an editing job working for the university I graduated from, making edits for them. So.
Okay,
Dude,
so
that's
for
awesome.
those who, that is really cool. So for those who don't know, what we're going to be doing today is we did a show a couple weeks ago about doing our top 5 players in every position from 2000 to 2021, so this century. And now we're going to just try and find the all-time great football team that we can put together, while somehow being able to get one player at least from each of our teams in there, probably.
I kind of want to do this a little different, Connor, if I can.
How do you want to do
join in? I want to kind of go over where we all say the specific position. So, like you say your quarterback, Ryan does, and then I was gonna say it, Jonathan does, and then I do it, and then we all kind of talk about our quarterbacks and why we picked them, and then we can kind of debate by position rather than just going over the whole thing, because I think it creates more conversation that way.
And then we decide from there. Yeah, I got you. No, I get that. So yeah, I think that's smart. That'll probably be the best thing, and then we can go from there. Let's go with since I haven't prepared, we'll go with Jonathan first, and I'll just think of someone else as we go through. Well, we'll go guests first, and we'll go Jonathan, Lucas, Ryan, and then me. So we'll go counterclockwise.
Starting with quarterbacks.
Yep.
So I went a mix of, yes, he might be considered the best quarterback in college football history, but more kind of nostalgia bait because I grew up watching him. And I had to go with Tim Tebow, Heisman winner, was a part of 2 national title teams. He was the backup for the first national title team, but led Florida to a national title, and I think it was 2008. And even when he fell behind or didn't win the Heisman, he still finished with the most first place votes to my understanding, back in the day, but didn't win the trophy. And he holds a bunch of NCAA and Florida and SEC records.
That's true.
I like
Are you saying he had the most votes for a player that didn't win the title, that didn't win the Heisman?
From what I was reading today, he had finished that year with the most first place votes. I don't know if that statistic was fully true based off that article, but it was Bleacher Report that reported it.
Oh.
Well, it's Bleacher Report, so I don't trust much. I don't trust like half of what they say because they're not really the best. I will fully admit that their app is terrible. I think Joe Burrow holds the record for most overall first place votes and largest winning margin in Heisman. Do I remember correctly?
So, Jonathan, you mean to tell me Graham Mertz is not the best quarterback of all time?
Put some respect on my boy Graham.
Graham.
My buddy Scott Fisher has been texting me this like once a month about, so is this the year Graham's going to do it? And, cautiously optimistic. That's where I'm going to leave it at.
I just remember watching that Wisconsin Notre Dame game, and I'm like, Wisconsin has a chance, and then they just.
It was the kick return. It was the kick return that changed everything.
And then 3 straight pick sixes.
I was in the stands for that game. Flew in that morning, flew back that night because I had to work both Friday and Sunday.
Was that at Notre Dame?
It was in Chicago.
Soldier Field.
Soldier Field. Oh, dang.
Train got delayed on the way to the game. Flight got delayed. It didn't look like I was going to make the game. Ended up making the game.
Wish you hadn't made the game.
It was fun for a while. Huh?
It was fun for a while up until that kick return. I mean, I don't put as much blame on Mertz as much as the national media puts it. I put it more on Paul Chryst in the play calling, especially when you go back to that Penn State game. We're on the 1-yard line, and we are in shotgun when we're known for the big hog mollies up front, fullback, running back. Why aren't we running the ball on the 1? And just almost overthinking everything. And Chris took too much responsibility last year from being the offensive coordinator, head coach, and being the quarterback coach as well, that now he's taking a step back from offensive coordinator. I think it could be good for the Badgers this season.
I still never understood in that game why you guys didn't keep running Malusi. I mean, you guys were able to run that entire game, and then it's just like...
Didn't he still have like 150 yards or something crazy?
Something like that.
Yeah.
He had like a lot of yards, yeah. All right, so moving on. My quarterback, a lot of people wouldn't consider him probably the best quarterback in college football history, but if I were to, like I was telling Connor before, pick from a draft pool, I would have taken this guy, Tommy Frazier. 3,521 yards in his career, 43 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had 1,900 rushing yards, 36 rushing touchdowns. Two-time national champion.
How many tackles can one man break?
Yeah,
I have that line. I don't know why, but that's stuck in my head, and I'm not a Nebraska or Florida fan. So
I mean, he put Nebraska on the map back then. Two-time national champion, Heisman runner-up, All-American, 3-time bowl MVP. Guy was he was that entire team, and he was basically the face of college football the 3 years that he was at Nebraska. So he's my quarterback.
Ryan, you're muted.
I guess I'll go next. So I kind of went the same way with what Jonathan did. I had Tim Tebow. It was actually surprisingly between him or Johnny Manziel. I don't think Johnny Manziel is the best quarterback of all time. But if I'm like kind of like what Lucas has said before we started this, I'm going to if I need a quarterback that's going to go down and win me the game, it's either going to be Tim Tebow or Johnny Manziel just because of what they did in college. I gave Tim Tebow the edge just because he was more consistent in the entirety of a game. So yeah, give me Tim Tebow with my starting quarterback.
Well, as I listened to you guys, and I thought about it more, I probably would go with Joe Burrow myself, just because the only thing I would worry about is because of how anomalous that season was compared to what he had done to his career up to that point. Like that's unprecedented, that level of a jump that he did. And you have to wonder how much of it was him and how much of it was Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, how much of it was it thrown to Jamar Chase, Justin as a focus. Thrown to Thaddeus Moss, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
You gotta get that really Logitech 4K camera, dude.
I have a Logitech. It is a Logitech, bro. There you go. It is a Logitech. Don't know why it does this sometimes. I think I flew and back too far. I don't know. Whatever. It'll figure itself out. But I think Joe Burrow, like I said, I think he holds the record for most first place picks or votes in Heisman, and has the largest winning percentage, difference between first and second in Heisman voting ever. Like I said, I would worry about that. How sustainable it would be if that's actually it. But I think just how special that season was, you just can't really beat that. I do think because we already have two people that chose him, I think we just have to go with Tim Tebow by default because two different people chose him.
Yep, Tim Tebow would be by majority decision the number one quarterback for our week 0 all-time team.
Now, which one do you want? Do you want 2000? What was it? 6 was when he won his first championship. 2007 was when he
2007, I think, is when he won the Heisman.
But he didn't win the title.
No, they went like 9-4 or something.
2008. But he won the title in 2006 and 2008, but won the Heisman in 2007, and I think finished second to Bradford in the Heisman in 2008. I think.
Didn't you want beat the crap out of Oklahoma that year?
Yeah.
Too?
I just remember the first play from scrimmage. Sam Bradford goes deep, and Major Wright comes over and just smashes the wide receiver right as the ball gets to him. Dude is out, and
I still have kind of a little bit of a hard time with Tim Tebow because, for one, I didn't watch. I mean, I was too young to watch college football that heavily then.
You're older than me, Lucas. What do you mean?
I know, but I didn't really start paying attention to college football until 2009. Like I did a little bit back in like the 2008, 2007, but it wasn't like, it was Oregon only. And then 2009, I started actually paying attention to all college football. But I just, with Aaron Hernandez and Percy Harvin, just those two alone is like, they're a huge difference makers. But I guess you can't be a good
Aaron Hernandez was killing it on the field.
Around you.
Too soon. Sorry.
I love bringing him up. He's my.
I also feel like I kind of owe a little bit to Tim Tebow since he did get my Broncos to a playoff berth. So
I mean, that's fair.
Playoff
But
victory, and you guys beat the Steelers, which I love. We all love. When the Steelers lose, America wins.
no, it's the Cowboys.
No,
Steelers
when the
are the
Steelers
second.
lose, I hate the Steelers. I hate them so much. Maybe more than Connor, honestly.
Probably. I
all right,
respectfully hate them. So, best wide receiver.
Running back.
Running back. Excuse me. Now, do you want
So
to
we're
do
doing RB1 and RB2. If you have an honorable mention, then you can add them in as well. But RB1.
So-
Are we gonna do for O line and like defensive line?
Yes,
just one again.
just
like
one.
Just the
one
best.
guy.
Yeah,
just
the best
the-
guy.
Gotcha.
So, for my running back one, I had to go nostalgic and go back to the 90s. Ron Dane ran for 2,000 yards as a freshman, won the Heisman, one of two Heisman winners for the University of Wisconsin, and holds the NCAA record for most yards in a career before they started tracking bowl game stats. He ran for over 6,000 yards in I think it was 3 or 4 years, and had they kind of
isn't he still the all time? He would be all time if not for bowl games. If they
Yes.
include that,
he would be. Jonathan Taylor, honorable mention for this because Taylor did that in 3 years, and had he stayed for just one more game, I think looking at the numbers, he could have broken Ron Dane's record in just 3 years, which is just absurd. I was lucky enough to be at Wisconsin watching Jonathan Taylor through his career. He was a freshman when I was a freshman there.
Nice.
But JT does not make this list. I had to go Adrian Peterson, who rushed for over 4,000 yards, even though he was injured most of his career. He rushed for 1,000 yards every season at Oklahoma he played. And I don't know if he played a full season ever in his career at Oklahoma.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
That's actually insane.
I know
to think about.
that Oregon beat Adrian Peterson in Autzen Stadium. My dad was at that game. But anyways, I do have a question for you as a Wisconsin fan. Are you taking JT over Monty Ball and Melvin Gordon? Like, who are you taking out of those three?
Oh, that's a tough one. Because I went to school, because I got a Jonathan Taylor Colts jersey sitting in my closet right now. Jonathan Taylor, being a Jersey boy, being a Jersey guy myself, being there when I was there. I love Melvin Gordon. I love Monte Ball. I watched both of them with my grandfather, who both my grandparents went to Wisconsin. It's why I kind of ended up there.
All right, on.
There's just a connection there with Jonathan Taylor. He also led me to my fantasy football championship last year, blowing everybody out. So,
hey, well, you know what?
I would have won it with the who'd have Derrick Henry if not for him going down.
I love Jonathan
Lucas.
Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor as a player, but wearing that blue and white, I have a hard time. I hate the Colts more than any team in.
I don't know why you hate your division
the
so much,
NFL.
You guys win it every year.
Yeah, I know
It's a
you have
cakewalk.
you have
No,
you
because
have
we
the
don't.
easiest
Because
division.
if you
You
remember,
have the
Peyton
easiest
Manning
division.
and the Colts ran that division throughout, like, probably from 2005 till last year. Like, the Colts ran that division. But I do like JT. I don't like that they're saying he's better than Derrick Henry. But
Because,
I do.
at this point he is, because Henry's efficiency has dropped in every single year. His last.
Well,
4
2,000
seasons.
yards speaks for itself.
Yeah, but his efficiency still wasn't good even in that season.
I still
I
have
think
to
he's gonna
laugh,
break
though.
down.
JT coming out of the draft, everyone's saying he had no tread on the tires because of how much he carried the ball at Wisconsin. And anybody who actually watched a game of Jonathan Taylor knew that guy he wasn't going to bust out in the NFL. He was going to have himself a good career, and he has so far.
Were you worried at all with how Melvin Gordon's career and obviously Monty Ball just fell apart instantly?
What do you mean?
Melvin Gordon was gonna.
Melvin Gordon was still a starting running back and 1,000-yard back.
He's not a starting running back. He got beat out by a rookie, but I don't know. My questions for him.
I mean, JT was just built different. Just watching all three, you could even toss Corey Clement in there, who's also been in and out of NFL rosters.
And James White too, right?
James White. Wisconsin's been on a streak. John Clay before Ball. And then
you could honestly put Wisconsin up there probably against Alabama when it comes to RBU. I mean, just like guys that get drafted. I mean,
the biggest worry has always been like, is the offensive line the biggest like factor in your good running backs? I think is the biggest worry in NFL.
I mean, Monty Ball might be the biggest proof that might be at least somewhat true because he didn't amount to much in the NFL, right, Ryan?
He was a bust for the Broncos. Off the field issues as well.
And Melvin only really had that one good year with the Chargers, and he's been pretty.
Well, like I said, last year, average. He was good for us. He had 1,100 yards, sharing the backfield with another 900-yard back last year. So I think Melvin Gordon's still pretty good.
I think one of the other things to remember too is just how different NFL offenses are with these guys in them. It is a different offense going from the Wisconsin to the NFL. These guys aren't ranked as high as the Alabama backs are. So Wisconsin's always done more with less, which is what makes what these backs, especially looking at Braylon Allen today, so much even more impressive. And Allen was supposed to be a senior in high school last year.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, that's kind of the same thing with Virginia Tech. Like they've always had to try and do more with less. They're not getting the blue chips. That's what made Beamer Ball so good is he was able to take these lower, like 2-star players and make them into quality players that made impact and then made it to the NFL as well and stuff like that. So that's definitely understandable.
Ryan and I get all the studs, but still no national titles. So.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? We've got college football playoff appearances, Lucas. That's more than what 130 FBS programs can say.
Hey, that's true. Hey, there's only been what was the stat I saw today? I think it was like there was only 6 teams. Dan Lanning keeps saying it. There's only been 6 teams that have played in the national title since 2010, and Oregon's been in it twice, or something like that.
Let's try and map this. Let's try and do this out. Clemson, Bama,
Georgia,
LSU,
Oregon, Auburn, Florida State.
Did we say Ohio State?
Ohio State,
yeah.
I guess that's
LSU.
He already said LSU. So that's 7 right there.
We're 7. That's at least 8, I think. I mean, that's still. That's still.
Well, no, if you're considering Notre Dame too, because 2012. But you said the last.
Yeah,
20 years.
Notre Dame. Well, we can count until but that is a decade. So.
But moving on.
Lucas, your turn.
Running back 1 for me, I went with, even though I'm pretty sure he only played for 2 years at Oklahoma State, I went with Barry Sanders. Holds the record, I believe, still for running or yards in a season. He might be number 2.
I believe so. If anything, he's number 2.
It was like 2,600 yards or something like that. But he had 3,556 yards in his career, 48 rushing touchdowns. Obviously Barry Sanders, he speaks for himself. He's just, nuts. And especially since I'm pretty sure he sat for like 2 years behind, they had another great running back and I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah. 26, 28.
26,
28.
Yeah.
And then when you combine that, he only had 900 or so yards in his other season.
Yep.
That he actually played. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and 49 touchdowns.
It's still kind of that. That Joe Burrow type deal where it's like just such an anomaly season. But I had to have him as my RB1. RB2, I went with Archie Griffin. I believe he's the only player in college football history to win 2 Heismans.
Yes.
5,589 yards, 26 rushing touchdowns. Obviously, I mean, 2 Heismans. I had to have him in here as RB2. I did have – who did I have before him? I think I had Adrian Peterson as my RB2 before. And then I thought about Archie Griffin. I'm like, oh, well, he won 2 Heisman trophies. Like, I got to have him here at least in my top 2. So, yeah, that's what I went with. I hate putting an Ohio State guy in there, but got to do it sometimes.
Yeah, John, he was riding Michigan really hard last year.
They're my number 2 team. If Oregon doesn't do well, I'm a Michigan fan.
Meanwhile, ironically, I was all up on Oklahoma State and San Diego State last year. San Diego State kept coming through for me. And
hey, you know what? Michigan State's still the best team in Michigan.
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
True. That is a fact. Okay, Ryan, your turn. Since you want us to speed it up, it's your turn. Who do you got?
So I'm going to go ahead. My number 1 is going to be Reggie Bush. His kind of career speaks for itself, and the dominance of USC back in the early 2000s. It pains me to put a USC running back at number 1 because obviously big Notre Dame fan. But give the man back his Heisman. I mean, he was probably the most electrifying running back in college football history. Number 2, go ahead and give me AP, Adrian Peterson. Just kind of like what Jonathan said, was never healthy, never played a full season in Oklahoma, was 1,000-yard back every year. And look at his pro career if you want to. The guy's still playing, which says something. So yeah, give me Adrian Peterson at number 2. Honorable mention, I'll go ahead and put Leonard Fournette in there. When it comes to guys who want to destroy your soul on the football field, Leonard Fournette is one of the biggest guys that comes to mind. And I think a lot of people forget just how dominant he actually was when he was at LSU.
He had 1,000 yards every year, right? 3 years, 1,000 yards every year.
My favorite play, every single college football highlight video from that year was just him.
The Auburn player
from Auburn.
No, it's the Auburn guy tries to jump on top of it and just falls off of him he just flips over him. Okay,
I just saw one of the stiff arms.
Yeah.
I think the lasting memory for me, and I mentioned this last time we did this, is his face mask coming off. It was so powerful. He literally trying to pull away from it. He literally ripped his own face mask off. So for me, when I was looking through, like I said, not prepared, but I kind of came to the same conclusion as Lucas. Barry Sanders probably is my number 1. Just that it's the same thing. That season is anomalous, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And then my RB2 would be Bo knows the best, Bo Jackson. I think we actually know him more from his crazy highlights as a Raider, and then also him running up the outfield wall as a Kansas City Royal in baseball. But he was ridiculous. I think he won the Heisman. He was a number 1 overall pick. I think he's just that type of special back that you would want on your team.
He wasn't a running back. He was a fullback.
Oh,
let's remember that.
Really?
He was a full. Well, I think at least in the league he was a fullback, and he was which is super weird. But that's just how the NFL was back in the day, where it was your fullback was your best position.
Exactly. Yeah. And then from me, and then honorable mention is Reggie Bush. I mentioned it before. My lasting memory of those early 2000s USC teams is his run against Fresno State, where he's up along the left sideline and just literally seems to stop on a dime and cuts it back to the middle of the field while half the Fresno State team just falls, can't keep up with him, trying to pursue him. I don't know why. I just happened to be watching that game because I remember USC was always on whatever that channel was. I don't remember what it was, but it was broadcast nationally, and I can't remember why.
It was Versus.
Yeah, it was Versus, but it was. Oh yeah, or maybe it was. So it was like Versus or like Spike or something. You know what I mean?
I think Pac-12 was like, or Versus like owned Pac-12 games or something like that back in the day. So they played all the Pac-12 games.
Yeah, but I somehow happened upon that game. And I remember seeing that highlight, and that stuck with me. So
therefore,
unfortunately, majority will be RB1 will be Barry Sanders by majority,
and then Adrian Peterson is number 2.
And AP's number 2 by majority.
Or wait, no, not Adrian. Yeah, Adrian Peterson or Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush or Adrian Peterson. Who do you guys take?
Probably AP. I would say probably AP just because I think Bush was good, but he was also on a team with another Heisman Trophy winner. So like I just
Lindell White too, who was
I mean, I guess AP was AP played with Bradford, didn't he?
No, I think
1 year.
No,
he was a rookie in 2007. AP was so he was before. I think he was there before Bradford, or at least was there 1 year.
Was that Bradford, Jason White?
No, right.
Or was he before? I don't know. I wish I knew these things about Oklahoma.
No, he was there 2004 to 2006. So he was. So I don't even know who the quarterback was back then. No, Landry Jones. It's not Landry Jones. That's too early, right?
I think it was Jason White.
I think it was White.
It was Jason White, and he did win the Heisman. But I don't know. I'm going AP. I say AP's number 2. RB2 for the week 0.
We'll go with that. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, tight ends.
Oh, wide receiver, you mean?
Wide receiver.
We're gonna do wide receiver before tight end.
Yeah.
All right. Wide receiver.
I think that just makes sense. Jonathan.
I just want to do a shout out to the fullback, Alan Amici, from the 50s, 60s Wisconsin history. Had to bring it up. The other Heisman Trophy winner at Wisconsin. But wide receivers, I got Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Michael Crabtree. Moss scored a touchdown in every game he played in college. Calvin Johnson is just a special player and had 3,000 yards receiving throughout his career at Georgia Tech. And Michael Crabtree, just growing up, especially those late 2000s, just memorable play after memorable play. Just growing up.
Crabtree along the sideline.
Yep.
Yeah, that's that play replays in my head. I remember I watched
that game live. I remember that.
I was real young. I wasn't paying attention to the game at all. And then everybody in my living room goes, "Oh my goodness!" They start freaking out, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I come in there, and they won that game. It was pretty crazy.
I remember Sports Center the next day when you used to see what topics were coming up on the sidebar.
Yes. I see. That's when ESPN was GOAT. ESPN was that
peak
that was
ESPN.
peak was that and just I remember being at the beach during the summer and waking up early to watch Sports Center and just watching that just because you could see the topics and stuff. Man, I loved that.
And then you could just like watch something else while they're on one topic you don't care about, like bowling or golf or something. You're like, you don't care about it, and then you switch back. So I didn't do 3 receivers. I think for my number 3 receiver, I'd probably agree with Crabtree there. But for my wide receiver 1, I went with Randy Moss, 54 receiving touchdowns, 3,529 yards. I think he would have more records probably if Marshall was a 1AA team for his I want to say it was his first 2 years he was at Marshall. They were Division II. So I think he would have even more records if they were 1AA in that. Also, funny thing.
They were only 1AA for one season his freshman year. I was just looking it up.
And then they moved to Division
AA, and then they
moved up to Division.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. And that was for his senior season or junior season, whatever. His last year at Marshall. Funny thing about Randy Moss as well is he was this close to going to Ryan's Notre Dame, this close, but then he got in some off the field trouble, and then he ended up.
He was literally going to commit to Notre Dame. He was literally going to commit, and then
and then he would have sucked because he had to go to Notre Dame.
Wasn't it also Florida State? He got.
It was Florida State and Miami.
So I want to say I want to say he was going to commit to Notre Dame, and then he like went to Florida State or something, got in some off the field trouble, never played anywhere else, and then he just stayed home at Marshall, which is like because he's from.
And that's the problem. Notre Dame has a history of that. We were supposed to get Peyton Manning too, but then we decided to get Ron Paulus instead of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Wide receiver 2, it's a guy that I could have and should have, I think, put on my other list that we had about 2 weeks ago. And that's Corey Davis. A lot of people forget that he actually owns the record for most receiving yards in a career at 5,278 yards, and he had 52 touchdowns at Western Michigan.
I looked that up. That's second all time.
He's second all time? But
that's
he
second
was,
all time.
I mean,
behind Moss. Moss, I think, is first with that 54.
He was absolutely ridiculous, and so I had to have him on this list. I'm sad how he turned out as a Titan. I don't think he got enough of a chance, honestly, as a Tennessee Titan, but he was without a doubt one of the best receivers in college football history. So he's my wide receiver 2.
All right, so for my wide receiver 1, I'm going to go ahead and go Calvin Johnson. For him being at a Georgia Tech team that ran mainly the option.
No. He was there before the option.
It was before the option?
Yeah, because the guy
maybe Paul I'm getting Johnson, him and Demarius Thomas mixed up. I know Demarius Thomas said
Paul Johnson. Yes, you're getting them wrong because Paul Johnson was the head coach at Navy, went to Georgia Tech in 2007. That was before, and Johnson had already left and got to the NFL by then. So he was there back when Georgia Tech was still primarily that, but that's Demarius Thomas was playing with the option.
But anyway, Calvin Johnson, my number 1, just one of the best all-time wide receivers, not only college but the NFL.
I'm pretty sure if you look it up, like you Google it, to interrupt you, if you Google best wide receiver in college football history, pretty much every article says Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, that's pretty much
every single one.
I'm looking at Bleacher Reports. They have Johnson 2, Moss 1.
Oh, okay.
For my number 2, I'm gonna kind of go a little homerish here. Give me Michael Floyd from Notre Dame. I didn't
not Tim Brown.
Tim Brown surprisingly didn't have. It was a different era. Like he had 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing. He was more of like a gimmick type player. He actually was not even listed as a wide receiver. He was a running back / like scat back. So he wasn't even a wide receiver. So yeah, give me Michael Floyd. Me being a Notre Dame fan, I didn't even realize he was this good, but he holds the Notre Dame program record for most receiving yards and touchdowns in a career. He had 271 catches for 3,686 yards, which is still to this day 1,000 yards more than any Notre Dame wide receiver ever. And he finished his career with having a 13.6 yard per catch and 37 touchdowns. Guy was insane. It just sucked because he played on Notre Dame teams that weren't very good at all. So give me Michael Floyd. And then from number 3, give me Randy Moss. I know it's kind of boring, but like when you have the most yardage ever in college football, it's kind of hard not to put you on that list.
Yeah. So looking through
Randy
everything.
Moss is far from boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go Randy Moss. That like wide receiver screen or that inside wide receiver screen he takes where he like breaks a tackle and then hurdles over a defender on his way for a touchdown and just outruns the entire defense for like 98 yards. So probably one of the most memorable touchdowns of all time. So he's number 1. And then probably I was really tempted. It either comes down to Jerry Rice or Corey Davis, I think, for two. So Jerry set a lot of those records that Moss then broke for Division 1 AA. And he finished with 301 career catches, 4,693 yards, and 50 touchdowns at Mississippi Valley State. So I'm going to go with Rice. and then Davis will be my wide receiver 3. Davis had some crazy consistency. He 3 consecutive seasons of at least 1,400 yards, 78 receptions, and 12 touchdowns during his time at Western Michigan. So that's incredible consistency, which explains why he holds the all-time record for receiving yards and is second in touchdowns. So yeah, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and then Corey Davis will be my 3.
I like it.
So it's pretty much gonna be Randy Moss 1,
Moss.
Randy Moss 1. Jonathan, what are we saying for 2? Will it be? Sounds like it'll be probably Calvin Johnson. Maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
We had a 2 and then a 1, Calvin, and then number
Corey
3.
Davis would be 3.
Probably go with Crabtree. We both had Crabtree at 3.
So who do you want, Crabtree or Davis? Who are you guys taking?
I mean,
think it's like
I have Davis higher, but since we both had him as our number 3, I think we should probably just keep him as number 3.
You know, I was gonna go with you on Davis. Just be a little different.
All right, let's go Davis.
Yeah.
We'll go Davis.
He will be our official number 3 wide receiver for the week 0
Action,
podcast.
baby.
Love
Let
that.
that
Who
represent-
his quarterback? Does anybody know who his quarterback was?
Oh my god.
Oh God,
He had to
was
have
that
been-
20? Was that 2017 Western Michigan?
He had to have been kind of
Western
nasty when it
Michigan.
comes to passing yards, unless
Oh,
they just
God.
all went to Davis.
Oh, no. Is that 2000? Is that 2016?
16.
2016. Sorry.
Because Wisconsin beat them in the Cotton Bowl that year when they were undefeated.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, they
Gotcha.
were undefeated. That's right.
They were undefeated going in.
It was Zach Terrell. That's who it was.
And then PJ Fleck left for Minnesota, which
And then that's
He went
not,
undrafted.
that's it's not really
Row the
worked
boat,
out.
baby. Row the boat.
I
So-
hate.
Well,
Fleck, I hate
I'm
Minnesota.
mad that Western Michigan couldn't keep that, and that Fleck was able to take it with him, but he came up with it. So okay,
Fleck
Actually,
annoys
their
me.
quarterback
Like it.
wasn't. Their quarterback really wasn't all that. Surprisingly,
Well, that
He
just
wasn't all
makes
that good.
Corey Davis even more impressive. I think.
Yeah.
If his quarterback
he only
sucked.
had, and he was like an average quarterback at best, and then blew up when that year
Davis
having
got there.
34 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and yeah. So
jeez, 34 and 4. That's really good.
surprisingly, that Terrell actually holds the NCAA record for the best touchdown to interception ratio.
What's his for his career or his season?
No, just like the total ratio. I guess the number in FBS history.
What is it?
34 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
Just in a season. Okay.
Yeah, just yeah.
I mean,
Put
yeah,
him
that's
on the
really good.
list.
That's like put him on the list. He's our QB4. He's our QB4 right there. Did we agree on
All
a
right.
backup quarterback? Actually, we didn't agree on
No,
a
we
backup
didn't.
QB, did we?
I never did a backup QB.
I didn't
Mine
do a
probably
backup.
would.
No, I didn't do that either. Okay, well,
We don't need no
Okay.
backups. Tim Tebow.
we don't need no backups. Tim Tebow will he'll apologize and he'll get back to it. Okay, tight ends. I don't know any really famous tight ends.
Before
I'll
we
be
get
straight
into
honest.
this, guys, if you're
I got
watching this
2.
right now, make sure to hit that subscribe button and support these guys week in and week out. They do some of the best content.
The one
when it comes to
person
college
watching.
football content.
The one person
We
watching.
appreciate
me.
you. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you.
I appreciate myself. I was the one that gave us the like.
Man, Josh isn't even watching, and he's our first.
Yeah,
viewer.
where's
Josh?
What the heck, man?
Josh is like the one guy who, like, if we were gonna go to consistent 4 people again, we would bring in Josh, so the Kentucky fan, and he's not here. And now it's saying there's no one watching. What the heck?
We lost
YouTube's-
our one.
It's
viewer.
all right. It's all right.
Which is
They'll catch you on the replay. They'll
No,
subscribe.
but
on the
well, the funny thing is, Ryan, it seems like our streams get more views on the back end once it's done.
It does.
Those
Surprisingly, I think our last one got like 60. I want to say.
I mean,
Our
there's that
most is
guy.
like
What's his?
200.
There's that guy. What's his name? Tim McLaughlin. That sometimes comes in at the very end of streams, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I keep missing them. I'm just busy with work." But he always comes in, and we'll rewatch them in full once they're done. Once they're done live and been recorded and everything.
Well, it's
So
like
he-
usually
he-
when the Harris Highlights does theirs,
It's
they get,
easier
like,
to do that,
200 or maybe
honestly.
500 people watching live, and then like right after it blows up to like millions. So
It's
Not
easier. It's
millions, but
easier.
thousands.
to do it. It's easier to do it that way because when you're doing stuff, you can just like play it in the background. If you're watching live, then it's like connection issues or something, like it's a little bit harder. But anyways, tight ends. Let's get on to tight ends.
I don't know
John
who any
Mackey.
good tight ends.
John Mackey.
John Mackey, tight end 1. I mean, guys, the
Where did he
award's
go?
named after him. I'm totally blanking on that one.
Because it was a
John Mackey played for the Colts, right?
Yes.
Wait, no, that's Australian philosopher. That's not who I want. John.
Yeah, that's not quite the right. Unless he's all of a sudden, that's what he did when he retired. He became an Australian philosopher.
Syracuse.
Okay.
He was also the first president. He was also the first president of the NFLPA.
Was he really?
1970 to 1973.
Right on.
And he was the main reason the NFLPA created the 88 plan, which financially supports ex-players who required living assistance in later years.
What a good dude. Still hate the Colts. All right, continue.
Tight end 2, Kyle Pitts. I mean, partly recency bias, but I mean, what that guy was able to do in the final year of college, just insane. With Trask.
Yeah. I mean, he's another one of your Jimmy Graham wide receiver playing tight end type guys. So
he can't block the. He looks like Tim Tebow blocking out there pretty much.
The one play that I always remember from Kyle Pitts' college career is when he got knocked out. Or did he get knocked out, or did he knock the other guy out? I can't remember when they collided heads. I think it was against like Auburn or something. They just smacked each other. One of the guys' helmets came off. It was gnarly.
I don't know. So I understand why. So I'm looking at John Mackey's stats, and obviously this is from the, an era when obviously passing. This is 60, 61, 62 in college when passing wasn't as prevalent. But when looking at the numbers, I don't understand how it's named after him. He literally, his first year, four receptions for 29 yards. 1961, 15 receptions for 321 yards for a 21.4 average and 4 touchdowns.
You say 15?
Go.
15
for 300?
Yeah, 21 yards per reception. And then 1962, 8 receptions for 131 yards for 16.4 yards per average and 1 touchdown. He had a few rushing yards, 129 in 1960, and 130 in 1962. So he only has 740 total scrimmage yards in his college career and 9 touchdowns.
The big question is, did they record the stats for all the games he played in, or are those?
That's just what's available on college football reference, or like college football sports reference.
The sports reference, yeah.
They really struggled keeping stats back in the day.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So maybe it is more. Maybe those are just from the games that they were able to, that reporters were at to cover. Maybe that's a good point. But if that's just that, then. But obviously, he must have been a much more incredible of an athlete if the award is named after him. Obviously, so sorry for interrupting.
Honestly, 700 and something yards by a tight end in college football is actually
in his career, though. In three years,
that's a good career. Look at statistics for most tight ends. Like a lot of them only have like 700 to 1,000 career receiving.
Well,
yards.
that's actually not true. Believe
Bucky
it or not.
Hodges
From what I
had
looked,
like nearly 1,800 for Virginia Tech in 2
let's
years.
me just say this, Lucas.
Okay.
The most receiving yards ever by a tight end is 2,901 yards. So,
And who was that?
Career. You'll find out when it's my turn.
Yeah.
Oh, so is that your tight end 1?
Yes, that's my tight end 1.
The tight end 1 in the best tight end in college football, don't care what Ryan says, is Chase Kaufman from Missouri.
Ooh, I was going to put him on my list too.
2,659 receiving yards and 30 touchdowns in his career at Missouri, which is super strange, and I never watched him play, so I'm like curious to how good he really was. Like, I mean, those are receiver numbers as a tight end. So I don't know if they were just going to him every single play or who his quarterback.
Well, he
was.
also played for 4 years.
It's still still crazy as a tight end, I think. My tight end number 2, and it's funny because the last time when we did these from 2000 to 2022 all-time team, I had a Rice player on it, and so I'm going to have another Rice player on my list. The old Rice Owls, Alabama scared of them. We all know it. James Casey, 1,914 yards. He had 17 receiving touchdowns, but he also had 362 rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns, and he had 37 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns in his career at Rice. So he was all around just like a crazy athlete, I guess. So I had to have him on this list because he's got to be the only tight end, full-time tight end in history with over 10 receiving touchdowns, over 10 rushing touchdowns, and at least 2 passing touchdowns. Like, that's crazy. So, yeah, he's my tight end too. James Casey.
Ryan, I think I know who your tight end 1 is. Did he play for the Ravens?
He did.
And won a Super Bowl with them?
Yes, he did.
It was Dennis?
Dennis Pitta.
Dennis Pitta.
He played at BYU, which is weird, 2004, and then played from 07 to 09. Had 2,901 yards receiving for 21 touchdowns. He holds the single season record by a tight end ever still, with the 2,901 career receiving yards.
Oh, so he was a freshman in 2004 and took his Mormon mission.
Yes, and then came back 07, 09. His teams went 32-7 during his 3-year career. So he had 200 catches and like I said, almost 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. He still owns nearly every major receiving record at BYU for not only tight ends but also wide receivers. And he's still BYU's all-time leading receiver with 221 receptions.
Okay.
So my number 2 is going to be Tyler Eifert for Notre Dame. One of the most electrifying. And okay, you know what? It's because we're tied in. You get over it.
Oh no, Iowa is.
No, you're not. You guys haven't. He hasn't had success in the NFL.
Michael Mayer is going to be better than any Iowa tight end ever.
Dallas Clark.
Who else?
Good luck.
Who else have you produced that has done anything in the NFL? I don't even know who else.
Kyle Rudolph was really good. So was
he was
Tyler
Notre
Eifert when he
Dame.
was healthy.
I mean, he's
yeah,
okay.
dude, Pro Bowl MVP Kyle Rudolph.
There you go. that's my one right there. Who else besides Kyle Rudolph?
Tyler Eifert. He was really good for the Bengals until he got injured.
No. Who else from Notre Dame as a tight end has been
technically Jeff Samardzija. Jeff Samardzija was technically a tight end. He ended up playing baseball.
That Jeff Samardzija played tight end for Notre Dame?
Yeah. Yes.
Tall, lanky Jeff Samardzija. That is not a tight end.
Receiver.
He was a wide. There's no way
he was technically a tight end / wide receiver, but he was mainly a tight end.
I mean, he looked like about 6'11", 210, like not 190 or something. How tall and lanky he was.
Jeez. But anyway, give me Tyler Eifert, 140 receptions for 1,840 yards and 11 touchdowns through 2 years. One of the most electrifying tight ends in college football history. He was basically the only bright spot for Notre Dame between 2010 to 2012 outside of the national championship appearance. So, yeah, give me Tyler Eifert for the tight end too.
Okay, so what I was thinking was someone that you guys seem to forgot about was Jermaine Grisham for Oklahoma, 2006, 2009, 111 receptions, 1,629 yards, 26 touchdowns. I guess he actually has 25. He had 25, or his 26. It leaves him just 7 short of the NCAA record for tight ends with 33. He set tight end records for the Sooners for yards and touchdowns. 950 and 14 touchdowns, and that's only one shy of Mark Lane's all-time single-season record, regardless of position at the time. And I just remember he was such a beast for Oklahoma back in those days, obviously making the national championship. And then I'm going to go with Dennis Pitta as well. It's got to go with my Ravens boy. Helped us win a Super Bowl. And Joe Flacco's favorite check down magnet right there. Joe Flacco is elite, or was elite. So
Dennis Pitta walked so Mark Andrews could run. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Yeah, and Dennis Pitta has also been proof of what's happened with the Ravens. Whenever they draft 2 tight ends, it's always the second tight end that ends up being the better of the 2. So they drafted Ed Dixon and Dennis Pitta the same draft. Pitta was better. They drafted Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews. Andrews was better. So now the Ravens took 2 more tight ends, Charles Kolar and Isaiah Likely. So Isaiah Likely will likely be the better.
It's kind of funny too, because then Ed Dixon went on to actually be pretty good, and so did
the Panthers.
And then Hayden Hurst went on to actually be pretty good for the Falcons. So it's like
Well, Hurst was only there for what? He was only there for like a year where he was like tight end 1, and then Pitts got drafted. Then he didn't do much last year. Now he's with Cincinnati, replacing CJ Uzomah. Ryan, you're muted.
I know. So the tight end 1 is going to be Dennis Pitta, and then who do we want to put for tight end 2? I don't think we.
No. I say Jermaine.
Tight end 2.
Pitta will be tight end 1.
Yep, because we had 2 people say that. So who else should we? So it's probably.
I think I'm making my case for Chase Kaufman.
Well, I think
I'm actually for
probably
it.
should.
Stats.
I'm totally for it. Those stats are ridiculous. 30 touchdowns.
You said Chase Kaufman.
Chase Kaufman.
Kaufman. How do you? Is it like Coffman?
Yep.
Okay. All right. On to the O line.
The best offensive lineman.
You know, I went down a rabbit hole with this one as a former offensive lineman myself. Just gotta give the boys their due and everything. I have a whole line picked out. I did Joe Thomas, Orlando Pace at the tackles, Jonathan Ogden, and a guy probably not a lot of people know the name of, John Hanna, who was the greatest lineman.
He was a Patriot.
He was the greatest lineman Bear Bryant had ever coached, according to Bear Bryant, and he was a 3-time All-American at Alabama. And then David Remington was the center I went with, who finished 5th in the Heisman voting in college at center.
Interesting. So who would you say is the best of the best out of all of those guys? Like, who would you pick? Say you had to just pick one as to be your base offensive lineman. Which guys?
Everybody went with Orlando Pace on the rankings, but I want to go with John Hanna just because one of the greatest coaches of all time says that's the best lineman he's ever coached. Let's go with that for today.
I like it. So for mine, it's my only Oregon player on my list, and that's Penei Sewell. He's an Outland Trophy winner. He was I believe, 2-time All-American because he only played 2 full years at Oregon. He only allowed 1 sack in 1,376 snaps at Oregon as the left tackle, which is pretty incredible. He's the highest rated PFF offensive lineman in PFF history. And then he's also the first offensive lineman first sophomore to win the Outland Trophy. So it's pretty incredible. So I had to have Penei Sewell on here. I wish he would have played longer, but obviously with the 2020 season and COVID and all that stuff, like he opted out, and so it kind of ruined his Oregon career. But the 2 years that he did play full time, he was without a doubt the best offensive lineman Oregon's ever had. Probably at least in the Pac-12, best offensive lineman. So
So Notre Dame was tight end U, and they're also O-line U. So
that's debatable.
Give me Quentin Nelson. We had talked about this on our last show, me and Lucas. This guy pretty much already has a golden jacket.
I don't think he was that good until he got to the league, though. I think
he was by far the best O-lineman in college football when he was at Notre Dame. It was not even close.
Zach Martin?
No, Quentin Nelson.
Oh. Well, isn't Zach Martin also Notre Dame?
Zach Martin was too, but he wasn't like, okay, so the difference between the two, Zach Martin was like by himself other than his brother, who was also pretty good. Quentin Nelson was shared the same O-line with Ronnie Stanley and Mike McGlinchey. So I guess you could say that he kind of had more help, but Quentin Nelson is just, you could also just go by his NFL career. He's literally got it, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman in the NFL right now.
At least guard. I'll give you guard. I wouldn't say best O-lineman.
But yeah, so give me Quentin Nelson. It's like me being a Notre Dame fan, I'm kind of spoiled with when we usually have the best O-lineman, or top 3 at least every year. So just that O-line was so nasty, especially Quentin Nelson. So yeah.
I'm taking, for me, Jonathan Ogden, Ravens' first ever draft pick, first ballot Hall of Famer. I got to meet him in person. He made me look very small, and I'm like 6'1", 6'2"-ish, and he's 6'8", 6'9", and I think it's more menacing with the fact that that defenders would describe him, at least in the NFL, where he would come up to the line and be smiling at them, just like with it's not like a creepy smile, but it's just like a happy smile, and he just knew that he was gonna wreck their shit.
So if we're going based off the guys you met, why didn't you put Trace McSorley as your starting quarterback?
That is true. Right. I should have put the GOAT McSorley as
or Lucas.
Dude, I should have put Bo Nix.
Yeah, he meant Bo. Yeah, you meant Bo Nix. Trace McSorley is my QB. Is my QB 2 now for all time quarterbacks right there. The GOAT McSorley right there. And then who else? But then that would make Ray Lewis the best linebacker because I've met him as well. I got to take a picture with him. So
who do we want to put for the best O-lineman?
Well, I think
we can just vote.
I mean, John Hannah was a guard, right?
Yep.
Yeah, both John Hannah and Jonathan Ogden were guards.
And then Ogden moved to tackle in the NFL. He was a left tackle.
I think Ogden should take the spot.
I think we could honestly talk about the entire O-line. I think at left tackle,
Ogden.
Well, I mean, college-wise, I think Sewell was better than Ogden in college, but definitely the 2 guards. You got to go Hannah and Quinn Nelson. Center-wise, I don't know.
David Remington.
That's what I was looking at. Dave Remington, Nebraska. He's the only 2-time winner of the Outland Trophy. He won the Lombardi, and he was as a center. He finished 5th in Heisman balloting in 1982 as a center, which shows just how messed up the Heisman.
Here, Ryan, just go.
Zach Martin. Left. Do you want to put Zach Martin at center because he played center?
No, we are putting Dave Remington.
So put Sewell at left, put Hannah at left guard, and then put Remington at center, put Q at right guard, and then just put Ogden at right tackle.
What's Remington's first name?
David
Remington.
And it's REMING or RIMINGTON.
Okay. And then Quentin Nelson.
Shoot, you could probably put Sewell at right tackle because that's what he plays in the NFL.
And who do we have at right tackle? Is it Jonathan Ogden?
You could put Ogden there, or you could switch Ogden and Sewell because Sewell plays right tackle in the league.
Okay.
If you want to. Either way. I think that's a good O-line. I like that.
That O-line wins a natty.
Probably.
I don't know. Notre Dame had a good offensive line, and they couldn't win one. So.
We might have the best O-lineman in the past 20 years in college football history and couldn't win a natty. That's kind of sad.
Has been up there, and
Wisconsin's been. I feel like Wisconsin's problem though is that they always have like a pretty mediocre quarterback.
See, I could say the same thing.
They
Notre
have
Dame
good
and Wisconsin.
everything else.
Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Solid defense, solid O-line, usually all NFL draft picks along each side. Quarterbacks, wide receivers. That's where the difference is.
Yeah, I find this year to be interesting for Wisconsin. Cautiously optimistic.
Are they gonna hurt our feelings again by being like 7-0 and then being a top team in the country
and then losing to Purdue?
Like, I don't know if they're that good, and then all of a sudden they lose after like 3 games at the end of the year.
No. What'll happen is they'll lose to Purdue, Illinois, or like Indiana or something like that, and then they'll
beat Ohio State,
Yeah.
beat Michigan, like they'll beat all these good teams.
I'm not making predictions on this season because every year I make a prediction, it ends up hurting.
Hurting.
We're just going with cautiously optimistic.
All right.
I like that. I like that.
I'm being super cautiously optimistic in that I'm just optimistic that they at least win 6 games.
Hey, you know
Do
what?
not lose to Old Dominion.
Me and Lucas both said Virginia Tech goes 8-4 this year. So
I will take it.
So I mean,
I just love how like every time we have a guest on here or whatever, it's like usually us three, like me, Ryan, and whoever the guest is, like is a fan of a team that wins like 10 games a year.
That have had
like
more
9
success
games,
than it's just me.
and then Connor's just like, I hope we win 6 games.
I mean,
I hope we make a bowl game.
I hope we don't lose to Old Dominion.
I think the Badgers, up until my sophomore or freshman year of college, we had the longest streak of teams making March Madness and a bowl game, and I think we have the longest active.
BT's now a basketball school.
Cool
stuff.
They just won the ACC title.
Yep, and yet we're not we're not ranked in the top 25 preseason.
That is crazy though. Is that
Is that
still going?
What? What's going?
We're not talking about baseball on College Football Podcast.
Hey, you know what?
Is that streak still going where they've had teams in the tournament and in a bowl game, or when did it end?
It ended after 20 years. The Badgers did not make the tournament my freshman year, but have been there every year since.
So you're the bad luck then.
You know,
your freshman year was the bad luck.
You know, and I mean, every projection had the Badgers winning the national championship for the COVID year because we got hot at the right time in March Madness. Now, was that going to happen? Who knows? But the fact that ESPN goes, Wisconsin would have won, just makes it even more painful.
Weren't you guys supposed to also the year that Notre Dame upset you guys in the Elite Eight? I want to say, weren't you guys supposed to, or not the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16? Weren't you guys supposed to win the Natty that year too?
It's been a few times, yeah. And the crazy thing is, we don't get the crazy prospects. It's all guys getting developed in the system and everything.
Yeah.
Frank the Tank, Sam Kaminsky, Nigel Hayes. Those were guys I grew up in my teenage years watching.
But Connor, you want to go ahead and get us started with the defensive line?
Okay. I guess I'll start, actually. I guess if you want me to, since you asked. I mean, obviously, the first name that came to mind is obviously Nagurski, potentially. Literally, he's the name of the award given to best defensive lineman. But I think really with how, and it might actually be more because of his NFL career, but also just how unbelievably dominant he was in college. For me, it would be Aaron Donald for defensive. If we're going to go every single position that we did offensive line, probably defensive tackle would be Aaron Donald. And then if you want another defensive tackle, probably off the top of my head would be Warren Sapp, maybe.
We'll just say all of our top off defensive linemen, and then we'll put it all together.
We'll do that.
Okay. And then defensive end, I think you have to probably put in there Bruce Smith. At one point held the record for most career sacks by a defensive edge, or an edge in college football. First overall pick in 1985 or 86, I can't quite remember. And then, of course, the NFL's all-time sack leader, and was up until that point Virginia Tech's most awarded individual player. And then probably the other defensive edge. I'll go another Raven, great Terrell Suggs, who had held the record for most sacks in a career at Arizona State until I was broken by another Raven who just passed away, Jalen Ferguson. But Suggs was unbelievable at Arizona State. So that's my defensive line there.
Cool.
Jonathan.
So if we're going strictly off of college careers, you can't have a list like this without naming Ndamukong Suh at defensive tackle.
Okay, yes, Sue. Yes, I will admit I'll probably put that instead of as the other defensive tackle instead of Sapp. I completely forgot about Sue. Sorry.
And then I had Sapp as well. And then for the defensive ends, I kind of had 3, but I'm gonna go with Jadeveon Clowney on one side and J.J. Watt on the other.
Oof.
I mean, especially with Watt's career going from walk-on as a tight end, playing at Central Michigan, transferring to Wisconsin as a walk-on, and then proceeding to have the career he had at Wisconsin. And then now, if you include the NFL career he's had, he's hard to keep off a list like this. But then the honorable mention I had was Von Miller.
Ooh.
Nice. Was TJ, do you think JJ was better than TJ Watt in college?
You know, it's hard. JJ he got drafted the highest. He actually was booed, I believe, when he did get drafted. Fans didn't like that pick.
They didn't want him at all, apparently.
But, TJ, I think each brother...
That was back when the white... Sorry to interrupt. That was back when the white defensive end wasn't popular. Now everybody's drafting a white D end.
They want that white defense.
The Bosas,
Hutchinson.
I think JJ and TJ and even Derek. Derek's had a fantastic career as a fullback.
Yeah, Derek Watt. Love Derek Watt.
I think they all are very good at different things, and it's hard to compare them. And don't want to give a podcast giving one of them ammo to say, "Oh, I'm the better brother." I'm a twin myself. Can't do that.
Fair enough. You're giving the parent response. Yeah. I love all my kids the same.
Bull crap. We know the truth.
I always think it's hilarious when you're like watching a college football game and it's like two brothers on two separate teams and they ask the parent who you're rooting for. And usually most of the time the parent is an alumni of one of the two schools, but they don't want to say because the other kid's playing for like the rival or something like that.
I so badly want one of the split jerseys.
Me too.
Like those split jerseys are so cool. Like I don't know who I would get.
Who even make those? Like how do you get those?
They probably just get them from the university, I'm sure, or like
they make them homemade.
Oh yeah, or they make them home. Yeah, cut one in half.
They just cut them in half.
That's usually what you do is you cut them in half and then you like stitch them and then try to hide the stitching.
Those things are so cool though. I didn't do a full defensive line like you guys, but I think the best defensive lineman of all time is probably David Pollock from Georgia. He had 36 sacks in his career. Obviously had like one of the most historic fumble return touchdowns ever. They played all the time. 2-time SEC Player of the Year, 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time First Team All-American, 3-time First Team SEC, Bednarik winner, Lott winner, Lombardi winner, 2-time Ted Hendricks Award winner, College Football Hall of Famer, and obviously we get to see him talk every game day. I loved it. I love David Pollock, even though he went to Georgia. I love David Pollock.
Even though his takes are usually terrible.
I like him. I think he's a charismatic guy. I like hearing him talking. Plus, he was he was a game wrecker at Georgia. So, got to go with David Pollock. And then for him, funny
thing is, once you started describing him, and I looked him up. I was like, oh, that's him, because I had no idea who he was or why he was there. I'd never heard of him, honestly, because they never dove into his career, and as far as I know, so I didn't even know how good he actually was, apparently.
Right. And then obviously, if I go for a defensive tackle, it's got to be Sue. He's from my home state of Oregon, so I got to go Ndamukong Suh. Oregon really fumbled the bag trying to get him at the university. I don't know how they ended up letting that guy go to Nebraska. It's crazy to me to this day. But
hey, you know what? You made up for it getting Kayvon.
Yeah, which is cool. But like out of our backyard. This guy's in our backyard and we can't. I don't know.
Didn't you guys just have a massive offensive lineman just commit somewhere else from the state of Oregon too, or am I thinking Washington?
I don't.
I'm thinking Washington
because we have the number one player from the state committed to us, and we have actually the number one player in Washington committed to us as well.
Maybe it was Washington committing to Oregon. That's what it was.
Could have been. Yeah. He was an offensive lineman, or maybe I don't know. I would have to look at it. I'm not doing it right now.
But so my for my D line, my defensive tackle 1, Ndamukong Suh, just like everybody else. My defensive tackle 2, this could be recency bias, but I just remember watching how much of like a stud this guy was at Houston. Give me Ed Oliver, one of the most like disruptive pass rushers and most electrifying pass rushers in college football history. I even remember that year Houston was like a top 25 team, and I think there were even talks. I think some people actually voted for him to be up in the Heisman conversation that year. He single-handedly destroyed Lamar Jackson in that game against Louisville. So yeah, give me Ed Oliver for my DT2. For my ends, this was kind of hard because I don't really know. I don't know. It was just hard for me. I'm gonna go kind of JJ Watt for one end, and then give me TJ Watt on the other. So give me the 2 Watt brothers.
That'd be a scary sight. Prime JJ, prime TJ in the NFL. Dude.
And even if we want to,
I'll that happen, dude. Pittsburgh should have made that happen when JJ was up to go somewhere else. They should have made that happen.
And I want JJ to end up a Packer.
Even if we want to, we'll add Derek Watt to the all-time college football list for fullback. Just put him in there.
Yep.
So Jonathan, I'm guessing, are you a Packers fan?
I am.
Oh,
grandparents, born and raised.
Well, at least you got to keep Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. You, I'm guessing. Have you ever heard of Tom Grossi, Jonathan? Tom Grossi on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm a moderator for his channel, so
that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's the guy who gets on the Packer gear and talks about the Packers and stuff, right?
But
Patcast, right? Patcast.
It's called Patcast, but he also does skits where he pretends to be like he's done AFC NFC East saga where he pretends to be he was like the Jets, the Giants, the Washington. And then Jets and Giants was called Bruce and Springsteen. Washington he called Wildflower Turquoise because he started that the year they went to Washington, or the Washington football team. So Wildflower Turquoise is how he came up with that. Rocky was the Eagles. Gus was the Cowboys. Danny was the Dolphins.
You're Carl was over all these, aren't you?
Carl was the yes. I will go all of them over them.
All 32 of these things.
No, he hasn't done anything else. He's doing the NFC AFC South this year. He does it throughout the season. Sweet. He puts that new video.
So so who do we want to put on the list?
Well, I think it's probably going to be Sue
number 1.
Probably sounds like it'd be TJ and or JJ.
Well, for DT2, if we're doing like the end, so
DT for the second DT.
Yeah,
I think multiple said Sap.
I had originally said Sap before Sue, so we'll go with Sap since that was the first name that popped in my head.
Sue at number 1, Sap at number 2.
Who do we want to put the
ends?
So
gotta go JJ Watt at one of the ends. I'm petitioning for David Pollock at the other end.
Okay,
but you guys can.
So who are you starting, JJ or TJ? Because that gives, I think, some inclination that one's better than the other.
I think TJ played linebacker in college.
TJ was better in college.
No, TJ was linebacker.
Oh, okay. Because that's
he technically plays linebacker in the league too.
Yeah, he's a right outside linebacker.
And then who else? We need one more. We need one more end.
David Pollock. I think I agree.
We'll go with
Well,
David Pollock,
no, I
guess.
mean after that. So
Oh, I had
wanna-
Von Miller or Jadeveon.
I like the Von Miller pick. I don't mind it.
The funny
Okay.
thing is, I don't remember much of anything about his college career. I know more of him as NFL, but I remember more of Jadavion's college than NFL. So I'm gonna go with Jadavion for that.
So for linebackers, do you guys want to just do like the two starting middle linebackers? Because we've already got the
Yeah.
edges. Okay.
Yeah, might as
Yeah,
well.
we can do that. I'm just gonna say straight up, it'll be Ray Lewis for one of them for me, and then I'm gonna go another homer again, Corey Moore. Well, no, actually, no, he wasn't a linebacker. Why am I doing that? Actually, go someone else. Go. I can't think of a second linebacker.
Go ahead,
All right,
Jonathan.
go ahead, Jonathan.
I had Ray Lewis and the Boz, but I also had Dick Butkus as an.
Oh, the boss.
Vaz.
Well, of course, you have to have Dick Butkus. Obviously, the award's named after him. So
I mean, the Boz did get kicked off his team for steroid use too. But, I mean, I couldn't not include the Boz on this.
Yeah.
Great 30 for 30 documentary on him too.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it. I always see it on ESPN Plus. I always pass over it for some reason. I should watch it for sure. So I had to go with Dick Butkus. I have all these stats for him. He actually finished 6th in the Heisman voting in 1963 and 3rd in 1964. And he actually played center and linebacker in his college career at Illinois.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, number 2, I guess since it's I guess I'll go Ray. I'll go with Ray Lewis. I'll go with Ray.
All right. So for my linebackers, I got James Laurinaitis. And second, I got Patrick Willis for my linebackers, both who were like two of the hardest hitting guys in college football throughout the years. Laurinaitis obviously was a big part of the national championship Ohio State team, and as well as three straight Big Ten titles. So, give me those two guys. And then, of course, obviously Patrick Willis, not only one of the best college linebackers of all time, but also one of the best NFL linebackers of all time.
All right, Connor.
Well, so yeah, Ray Lewis. I think that's gonna be the one that we're gonna choose. James Laurinaitis is a good choice. Sorry, I was distracted. I completely lost
Just
track.
take Butkus, so he'll be the
We'll
number
take
2.
fine. We'll take fine. We'll take him Ray Lewis and Butkus. I'm sorry.
All
I
right.
need to.
Ray is number 1, Butkus at number 2.
All right, so now we're down to key cornerback 1 and 2.
So, do you want me to start with that one?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Let me change it. I haven't changed it. Cornerback. Let's go.
I kind of had 3 again. As I was doing the defensive side, it was hard to like choose 2. There was always that third guy. So I had Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders, and Charles Woodson.
Champ Bailey, the GOAT.
Yeah, Champ Bailey was a good one. I wanted to. I'm just going to jump down to 3 and I'm going to put Champ Bailey. I only did 2, but I do really like Champ Bailey. But my number 1 is obviously Charles Woodson. I mean, he won the Heisman. I mean, you got to, and then my number 2, I kept Pat Pete on my list from our last list. Bednarik winner, Thorpe winner, Tatum winner, 2-time first team All-American. Had to have Pat Pete on there. He doesn't have like a crazy amount of stats.
Oh no.
No.
I think it's just because they didn't. Am I dropping?
You
dropped
now
for,
you're
you
good.
dropped for a little bit. You're back.
Pat Pete. I just people didn't throw his way very often.
Oh,
So
we lost
he just
him again.
didn't get the crazy amount of stats, but
all right.
okay, we're good.
So for my corners, I went Patrick Peterson number 1. It was tough between him. So I kind of did what Jonathan did. It's hard for me I had three people, and I kind of decided to change it. So I'm going to go Patrick Peterson #1, and then I'm going to put Ahmad Gardner over Champ Bailey. I love Champ Bailey. That probably he's definitely one of the best Broncos of all time. The only thing is that just Ahmad Gardner never gave up a collegiate touchdown in his entire career, which I'm pretty sure you can look it up. I'm pretty sure no other college cornerback can say. I know he plays at Cincinnati, but it's still Division I. I don't care where you play. To not give up a touchdown in college
is against Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so yeah, give me Sauce Gardner. He might actually be the best he's got to be top 5, but in my opinion, he could be the best cornerback of all time.
Okay. So for me, #1, is Charles Woodson. I thought he was a safety. Isn't he a safety, not corner?
No, he was a corner. He was also a kick returner.
See, that's the thing that also tricked me up, because the other name that came to mind other than Patrick Peterson from LSU is Tyrann Mathieu, because he was a cornerback as well, which I didn't know about until we did our best of the 21st century. Because there really came down to him and Patrick Peterson for 2. I don't want to keep repeating, but I do think Patrick Peterson is probably the next one that I would suggest. And then corner 3 would probably be either Ahmad, Sauce Gardner, or D'Angelo Hall from Virginia Tech, just for the impact he had at Virginia Tech.
I am blown away. None of you had Deion Sanders on your list.
Where did he play, though? I always forget.
For Florida State.
Florida State.
Oh, it was Florida State.
I always feel like Deion Sanders was he was a better kick returner and mostly like punt returner than anything. I think Pat Pete was too, but he also I don't know.
I see what you mean. It's kind of like when you think of Deion Sanders, he kind of gives me the same like the Desmond Howard type feel. So that's kind of the same thing, I guess. He's just like
that,
a lot
and also
better.
I think part of it's probably because we watched Pat Pete.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, just watching him play is like it was incredible watching him play. So I don't know.
So
they probably could go hand in hand.
Patrick Peterson, cornerback 1. Is that pretty much?
No, probably Charles right?
Charles.
And then Patrick Peterson #2.
I mean, you can't have any Charles Woodson there. He's the only defensive Heisman winner. You have to have Charles.
So
Woodson.
and then Patrick Peterson #2.
Yeah.
And Pat Peterson #2.
On to safeties.
Safety again. I had
safety.
I had the same issue of there were 2 slots I had, 3 guys I couldn't not name. And that was Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, and Sean Taylor.
Oof. That's a
That's
yeah,
there's really hard to argue against those. Where did Lott play? Was it USC?
Those 3. Yeah, USC. Lott. So I have Lott as my #2.
What about Eric Berry?
He had 14. My dad just texted me that Deion Sanders also couldn't tackle his own shadow. So that's also a part of it.
And yeah, he became the best corner of all time. That doesn't really involve tackling, but whatever.
Ronnie Lott, he had 14 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. He had 10 fumble recoveries. He was actually named the Pac-12/Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Century in 2015. So, I had to have him on this list too. And then, of course, Ed Reed. I think he's the best safety of all time. It's kind of hard to argue that. 2-time All-American, Big East Defensive Player of the Year. 21 interceptions, 52 pass deflections in his career, or defenses in his career. So Ed Reed was just so good, so good. And I don't know how he managed to get even better when he got to the league. It's crazy.
Weird question.
What about Eric Berry?
He was good. When I listed mine, because when we did our top 5, I had him number 4. I think he's a top 5, but top 2, it's kind of just either.
Is it just me, or I don't remember much? I mean, obviously that's very early, 2000, 2001, 2002, but I don't remember much of Sean Taylor in college. I know him more for the highlights.
Oh, he was a beast in college. Oh, Sean Taylor was, yeah. You thought he murdered people in the NFL. Go back and watch.
And then the only one that keeps coming to mind for me is Taylor Mays for USC.
I was actually just going to ask. So he went to USC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I just remember him just strong.
He was good, but he had a lot of troubles.
Yeah, but
Taylor Mays had a lot better not collegiate NFL career than he did collegiate.
Really? I don't remember him being good in the NFL.
Oh yeah, he was good in the NFL.
He was all right. Played for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I just have that memory of him destroying that Penn State receiver, and then the defense, and then the cornerback running behind him, and he knocked both of them out in the Rose Bowl. There's really. Oh no, I have absolutely no issue with what Jonathan said. I mean, I don't think there's any real argument you can make against those 3 guys.
So, for mine, I got the same thing. Just give me Ed Reed and Sean Taylor for my 2. That 2001 Miami team they had the best defensive backs in in probably all of college football history. So
it's wild looking back on that team.
That team was just so stacked.
I just remember one guy
was on steroids.
I remember one guy. I don't remember if he played cornerback or safety in college, but a name worth mentioning: Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Oh,
only true freshman to start on a Nick Saban defense. I think as a defensive back.
And Minkah was he was dominant.
I went to school with his cousin.
Nice. Also Fitzpatrick, or what's the last name?
Prince Fitzpatrick.
Nice.
Did you get to meet him? Really cool.
I did not meet him, but I was doing a school project on why college athletes should get paid, and interviewed a long snapper from the University of Pennsylvania, the Ivy League school. And his cousin got answers from Minkah for me. So I had that really football school top position versus long snapper at a very academic school. It really helped round out the project.
Yeah.
Huh.
So nice. What do we want to put? So we obviously Ed Reed.
I think it'll be Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, and then I have no issue with Ronnie Lott either. I think that's just
Ronnie.
What is it? Are we putting Ronnie Lott or Ed Reed as one? I
just did free safety and strong safety. So
we're doing free safety. Well, free safety you can put Ed Reed, I think, and then Sean Taylor.
I'm pretty sure they both.
Oh, they did? I don't remember.
But it doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't make a difference.
So now we're on to kicker, I believe, right?
Crazy.
Kicker.
The kicker.
Yes.
Better be on this list.
Kicker.
The kicker.
I had to go with the dancing kicker from the University of Wisconsin. First thing you look up when you look up Wisconsin, under the GIF calculator or GIF searcher, is Rafael Gaglianone. Met him in person. Really nice guy. Fun guy to watch in college. And also salsa'd after every made field goal.
So it's not even for his accuracy. It's just for the fact Victor Cruzed it after every made field goal.
He had fun, and he was a great kicker at Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
I like that. I like that.
And he was on the chubbier side too. So you had a big man.
Now that you said that,
you're making me think of the Penn State kicker.
That Penn State kicker needs to be on this list now, just for the memes.
What was his name? I can't remember.
That guy was massive though,
and yet he would fall over at like a breath of.
But you know what? Hey, at least he cracked some people.
That is true. He did crack some people. Okay, Lucas.
So I went with more of the less of the swag, but more of, for this one anyways, less of the swag, but more of the how good he actually was. I went with Roberto Aguayo from Florida State. He went 198 for 198 on extra points in his career, and then 69 for 78 on field goals, which is 88.5% in his.
Oh, you good, Lucas?
We're losing him. We're losing him.
I mean, I'm not seeing the internet issues.
It's good now. You're good now. You're good now.
You're saying 88.5%.
Okay, so 88.5% in his career, and then 405 points in his career at Florida State. So had to have him there. Honorable mention, got to go with Seabass. I don't know if you guys put him on there, but got to go with Seabass.
I will fully admit that was mine. That's gonna be mine.
Probably still the highest rated or highest drafted kicker of all time, if I had to guess.
Yes.
Or at least in the modern era.
No. He's actually one of only 3 to be drafted in the first round. But those are all. I'm sure
there was probably some guy like
much earlier in
the that was also a kicker that got drafted like high or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
all right, Ryan.
So for mine, this is going to be kind of also a dig at Raiders fans because they decided to take a kicker with a first overall pick. Give me Sebastian Janikowski, the only kicker that could say he was taken with a first-round pick.
Seabass.
Yes.
No, Connor said there was 3, right? There was 3 kickers that have been taken.
3 taken, but I'm sure.
It says
on the Wikipedia, on his Wikipedia, it says one of only 3, but it didn't say who else. But I'm sure those all were much earlier in the draft, like in the 60s and stuff.
Leave it to the Raiders to draft a kicker in the first round.
Well, I mean, they did take Ray Guy in the first round as well back in the 70s. I think just the lasting memory of him is trying. The lasting memory of him though is him trying to attempt a 75-yard field goal and then Lane Kiffin being fired that same day, like the day after. I think that's just the lasting memory of Seabass's career, unfortunately.
So, who do you got, Connor?
I was going to say Janikowski as well.
Okay, so
I think that's just, it's not even really, it is for his college. I mean, he was 66 of 83 in college, 79.5%. So he's not the best, and that was kind of his big thing. He had a cannon of a leg, but he wasn't the most accurate kicker
Weird question.
either.
Do you guys remember who the kicker, kicker
he was also like 6 foot.
He looks like a linebacker or a tight end kicking. Yeah, he was massive.
Do you guys remember the kicker that Harris Highlights kept promoting to be Heisman?
Oh, God.
Yes. Because I was gonna say that guy had some pretty. He was really good too.
Oh God. What was that, like 2016?
2016. It was the same year they came out with the Chattanooga thing.
2016. Oh God. I'm looking. Zane Gonzalez.
Yes.
Zane Gonzalez. Zane Gonzalez for Heisman.
He played for the Chiefs for a period of time too.
Yeah.
He was good. He was good in the league. ASU guy.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so who do we got for?
All right, so probably Seabass. I mean, a majority.
I forgot to put punter. I wasn't sure if we were going to do
Seabass
punter
for
or not.
kicker.
I guess we'll do punter real quick.
Punter.
Oh, we got to do punter.
I already know who we got for punter.
Punter, I got the.
It's easy.
Punt God, Matt Ariza.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
I'll agree to that. The punt God, Matt Ariza.
I'm disagreeing because
you're still not going to do it because the 3 of us have taken him, so it doesn't matter.
I don't care.
You should just shut up.
care. The greatest punter in college football history is the one and only Pat McAfee. He was also a place kicker. So
he was a place kicker.
The stats in there.
He was a place kicker in college. He got drafted not knowing how to punt, and then when he got to the league, he had to teach himself to punt.
I'm surprised you're even liking a guy who played for the Colts.
I'm still adding him as there. He had 9 tackles. He had 9 tackles in his career.
I still just love the fact that he destroyed Trendon Holiday, and Holiday just walks away being like, "Yeah, I'm a badass."
Wait, was that when Trendon Holiday was on the Broncos?
Yes, he got destroyed on a kickoff return, and literally Pat McAfee just like elbows shot.
What the hell? Whatever happened?
Trendon, of course, is like
Holiday.
Trendon's like 5'6", and he's just walking away like looking like, "Oh yeah, I'm macho, I'm a beast for it," and then he's like more known for getting smacked in the face on that hit than anything else.
He did have a good return on that kick, though.
Yes, he did. It was like up past the 50.
It was a good return.
Whatever happened to him, by the way? As a Broncos fan, it's like one minute he's taking kicks back for touchdowns for us, and then the next minute he's off the team.
I don't know,
but
couldn't tell you. All I know is that the Ravens could
lied to me.
I
don't care about the Ravens. Unless the statistics lied to me, he actually did have 126 punts in his college career.
According to him.
According to him.
According
to
McAfee's draft story.
This
college,
is from
is it college football reference or college sports reference? Is that what you're getting it from?
Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
According to McAfee's draft story, he didn't know how to punt coming out of college.
Punting, yeah, 126 punts at West Virginia.
Huh. It's weird.
He probably wasn't good.
He probably was terrible.
43.7 yard average. That's a good average.
Anything? Oh, and I added that he has the most swag out of any punter in college football history. So that has to be added in there. I don't think.
I don't know. So I went Matt Ariza on this list because
it's just Ariza. We don't need to talk about it. Three of us have already said Ariza.
Who just doesn't love some Matt Ariza? But just a quick honorable mention: Marquette King. He was the Matt Ariza before Matt Ariza. So
I only really remember it from the NFL. Literally like doing the.
He was good in college. He was good in college
when he threw the flag.
He gets he's like, dude. He like threw the flag. He gets an unsportsmanlike conduct after getting a roughing the kicker.
Marquette King
on a punt.
He was actually a beast.
Marquette King was a really good punter too, and then Gruden did him dirty. Gruden did Marquette King super dirty.
Marquette King is better than like. I'll just say that Marquette King is better than like half the punters in the NFL right now. So
100%.
And he's not even in the league anymore, right?
Yeah, because he got like it's just like kind of like the Colin Kaepernick thing. He kind of got
blackballed for having fun.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Blackballed.
That's so wrong.
So kick punt returner. We're doing this all
combo.
Yeah, kick and punt returner. So Matt Ariza for punt.
I did not come prepared for kick returner, punt returner. I'm gonna be honest
you might as well just pick the obvious Desmond Howard. I mean, he won the Heisman doing it. So
the first name that popped in my head was Tavon Austin at West Virginia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, that's a good one.
Was he was there after Pat? He was there after Pat White, though, right? He wasn't there.
Tavon Austin.
Tavon and Pat.
He played with Geno Smith, I think.
No, so that's after Pat White. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yep. Got it. But I went with Tegan Jr. for kick and punt returner. It was kind of hard because there was actually a lot, but he had 8 total kick and punt return. So that's pretty good in a short career.
So I went Rocket Ishmael for mine.
Of course you did.
No.
Was that 3 Notre Dame?
3 Notre Dame guys. But anyway, literally, okay, if you go back and watch his tape, dude was like the only reason.
D'Anthony Tom changing mind.
Hey, you know.
I'll just
say this.
I just thought of one. Percy Harvey.
The reason I went Rocket Ishmael is because he was the reason Notre Dame won their last their last national title was mainly him. But like he not just for the kick return, but he's also a wide receiver. He averaged 22 yards per catch, which is the most in school history. He had 4 touchdowns receiving, 1,565 yards, along with 181 rushes for.
But if you're going off the best kick returner, punt returners, receiving stats should be.
No, I'm saying on top of that, he also had 1,607 return yards for 6 touchdowns. So it's just not just because he was a kick returner; he did everything. And I would say honorable mention also Jabril Peppers because that dude was also really good at taking kicks back.
D'Anthony Thomas.
D'Anthony Thomas too, yeah.
Yeah, first name that came to mind, I just realized was Percy Harvin too. But I don't remember him being much of a returner for Florida.
Percy Harvin.
I
think he became more of a returner.
You know, I'm surprised nobody brought up Devin Hester.
Devin Hester was
in the
more
NFL.
NFL.
Was
I
he
remember
not,
in the NFL.
I thought he was good in college.
He played
Miami?
corner in college.
Oh, he did?
He had a couple
Really?
good returns in college, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I remember them.
I don't know, a return man.
There's so many.
Yeah, there's so many. It's hard to pick.
Charles Woodson you could throw in there.
But I think I really now.
I mean,
about
honestly, I think even though none of us really said it, I think you almost have to put
Howard.
Ooh. Desmond
That's-
Howard?
I think it has to be
I think
Desmond
you have
Howard.
to put Howard.
Because that's when you don't even really think of him as a receiver. You think of him as the kick returner. That's what that is. That I feel like that's what really won him the Heisman was just how effective he was as a kick and punt returner.
But really, also, like, who else? Because it's just sad because, like, in recent years, besides Jabril Peppers, there really hasn't been a lot of really good return men because of the rules, which is
That's more in the NFL. College
doesn't have a lot of kick returns. They're very like there's a lot of exciting returns where maybe they'll get to like past the 50, but for like if you look at the numbers, it's just I think it's like went down like 70 something percent since like 2000, early 2000.
The most recent name other than Peppers that might make it is actually potentially could be Greg Stroman for VT. He was there 2013 or 14 to 2017 or 18, one of the two, somewhere around there. Just when I was there, he holds the record for punt returns for VT. I think he had like 5 or 6 in his career.
You know what? No, Connor, screw it. We need to put Cam as the best kick returner because the dude was our
buddy Cam.
Yes.
Our buddy Cam.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had 2 kickoff.
All right, Cam's the week 0 kick returner.
He's the best week 0 kick.
Yep, Cam's our week 0 kick returner.
The Conference USA Special Teams Player of the Year.
Is that what he was?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So.
There you go.
What a beast.
What a beast. Okay, Brian, run through everything.
There's our week 0 team.
So
hold on. We forgot long snapper.
Oh God. Okay.
Oh, I picked the that one guy that was like in the army for a super long time, and then he played for the Seahawks. He was like 40 something.
I'm trying not to give us. Never mind.
What about the was it the blind guy?
Oh my God!
Guy for USC. I'm taking him.
God, that's so wrong.
I'm
Okay,
no.
I feel like
Hey,
we
man,
should.
that's
I feel like we
pretty
also. I feel like we need to do all-time coach. I just realized.
That means Jonathan must have somebody in mind.
No,
You have to
I
have somebody
just
in mind
was
if you
coming out of high school as a
he
nationally
was just-
ranked long snapper, and I have a bunch of buddies that
Oh, were you really? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I have a bunch of buddies that have played and are either going through the draft process right now or didn't work out for them. But I'd get myself in trouble if we didn't bring up the idea of having a long snapper. We don't have to say a long snapper. We just the idea of a long snapper.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, are we gonna go?
I feel like
we need to do
I long
coach.
snapped in high school too.
Well, wait. So who do we want for long
Coach?
snapper? Can we just
That's
get?
not hard. It's
Can we just say Jonathan? Because he was a long
just
snapper.
put Jonathan.
Jonathan? Yeah.
Jonathan as the long snapper.
Oh man. So
Yeah,
actually,
I think coach is easy, right? It has to be Nick Saban. Like Nick Saban, it's not even
What
close.
about Bear Bryant?
Yeah, Bryant.
I
See,
mean,
I don't-
still,
I don't-
Nick
that's-
Saban's been
That's so boring though. Get like a fun coach.
Nick
Like,
Saban's been to like 10 natties and he's won 7 of them.
I understand that, but he's not a
crazy
fun
number, like-
coach. I want Dabo Swinney.
Jimbo
You
Fisher
want
hasn't
Dabo.
won anything yet, but
Give me Dabo Swinney.
Jimbo.
Give me Brian Kelly.
No.
God.
This is my family. This is my
My
family.
family.
over it.
Brian Kelly.
We should next do is do the most either a team that would most annoy us with like their antics or something. So you have like that.
Notre Dame.
It's just all Notre Dame. It's just
Notre Dame.
No, you have like Johnny Manziel at quarterback. You have Brian Kelly as the coach.
No,
you have
the most
Aaron.
obnoxious...
You have Aaron Hernandez as tight end or something.
Oh God!
Like the most
Whoa.
the biggest.
Don't talk bad about Aaron.
We should do like I feel like we should do. I don't know. We could do something about that.
Take us out, Connor.
No. We have to do a recap. Ryan, let's do a recap.
Out.
Let's hear the recap.
So for the Week 0 podcast consensus all-time team, our head coach is Nick Saban. Our offense is quarterback Tim Tebow, running back 1 Barry Sanders, running back 2 Adrian Peterson, wide receiver 1 Randy Moss, wide receiver 2 Calvin Johnson, wide receiver 3 is Corey Davis, tight end number 1 is Dennis Pitta. Tight end number 2 is Chase Coffin.
Tight ass number 2.
Tight ass.
Tight ass number 2.
Tight ass number 2. That's just gonna be an inside joke from now on.
Yes.
Keep saying that randomly. Tight ass number 2.
Our left tackle.
All right, you better keep going. You're gonna take 40 years.
Our left tackle is Penei Sewell. Our left guard is John Hanna. Our center is David Remington. Our right guard is Quentin Nelson, right tackle Jonathan Ogden. For the defense, we have defensive tackle 1, Ndamukong Suh, defensive tackle 2, Warren Sapp. At the ends, we have left end 1, JJ Watt, left end number 2, TJ Watt, right end number 1, David Pollock, right end 2, Von Miller, linebacker 1, Ray Lewis, linebacker 2, Dick Butkus, cornerback 1, Charles Woodson, cornerback 2, Patrick Peterson, free safety, Ed Reed, strong safety, Sean Taylor. Our special teams is kicker, Sebastian Janikowski. Our punter is Matt Ariza. Our kick returner / punt returner is Desmond Howard. And our long snapper, good old Jonathan O'Brien.
No, I thought we had Cam as well as our punt returner as well. That's our punt returner. Thought you said Cam, didn't you?
I wasn't being serious, Connor.
No, he is. No, he's definitely it.
Do you want me to put him there?
Yes. I thought we were.
He's got to be.
Do that.
We
We'd agreed to do that. We weren't being. We weren't joking. It's
oh
Cam.
my goodness!
Do one favor for me.
He was staring at you like, bruh.
Yeah, he was just like, what?
For long snapper, put Blake Ashley.
Okay.
Who is that?
Blake Ashley.
Guy who's probably going to be a possible NFL draft pick next year.
Does he have a Twitter handle?
Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Okay. Because I'm going to post this on the Twitter. But
Twitter's
anyway,
here.
quick question before we let you go, Jonathan. You said you know some people that are going through the draft process. If you can hook us up, we'd love to have some of them on the show.
We already got a coach Hugh Freeze from Liberty.
Yeah, we've got Hugh Freeze.
All because he replied to a tweet I jokingly did where I mocked him.
Where he was throwing shade about the Ole Miss situation.
No, it wasn't even that. It was when people were Justin Fuente was like, who are we gonna fire? And it's like, or who are we gonna hire? And it's like, as long as the only time Hugh Freeze is on the sidelines in Lane Stadium is on the business sideline, I'll be fine with that. And then he replies to the tweet, says, "Thanks, buddy, for that." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
hey,
and then you immediately email him, and I
immediately DM'd him, was like, "Hey, I like the fact that you enjoyed that. Can you come on the podcast?" And he was, "Yep, sure." And he gave me his email.
I think the funniest thing about that is when you emailed him, his secretary emailed you immediately back and said, "Yes, Coach would love to do it, but
yeah,
no questions about Ole Miss."
And then we asked him if we could talk about Ole Miss, and he's like, "Well," but then we asked, "Is like, can we talk about Ole Miss?" And he's like, "Yeah, ask me anything." We talked about that. But then of course Ryan decided to come in as me and Costa So me and our old host Andrew Coster are hosting, and we're interviewing him, and it's just the two of us because Ryan couldn't make it. and Ryan's like in the group chat. He's like, "Hey, are you doing the interview?" He's like, "Yes." Do not come in. Do not come in. And all of a sudden,
no, because
he just pops in. He said, he just has a big old grin on his face. He's like, and Coster and me, both Coster and me immediately just get like, Coster just, he's a little happy and everything. He's like, seriously.
I love Andrew Coster.
He's a good.
And then we blew up on Ryan afterwards. We blew.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you know what? To be fair, I did not read the message before I got on. To be fair.
You still should have known better.
Dude, I was pissed too because I was working and watching the interview on my phone, and then I'm like, I could not believe it. I could not believe it.
See Ryan, that moment right there, and I'm gonna fully admit something, is why we had a group chat between me, Lucas, and Andrew without you. Just so we could talk shit about. We had to just to talk shit about you.
We weren't talking shit, but we were more like, it was more so all right, let's plan this stuff without Ryan real quick so that we can get everything together the right way.
Drama
and then Ryan
out live.
But Ryan has redeemed himself. He has been very good since Coster's left. He's been very good. So we got to give it to Ryan. He's done a lot for this show, and I honestly probably more than Connor and I have. So
yeah, no, he definitely has.
You know,
I'm only the host.
Hey, to be fair, the only thing Costner did for the show was host it on his channel. But
yeah.
Oh, the shade. Okay,
No,
we're live.
We're
live.
I don't want anything to do with this
Whoa.
now.
Oh no, we're good. But anyway, like I said, Jonathan, if you have anybody that personally, hit them up, ask them if they'd be down to come on the show. And
try and get Scott. Try and see if you can convince Scott to come on, because we were trying to get him before and he wouldn't come on.
Scott's
to throw some more shit.
He's the thing about it's Scott's he's a good guy. He's busy all the time. That's
true. I'm not actually meaning to throw shade being mean like that.
He's a very busy man. I'm lucky if I get a text. We usually text back and forth, but he's been really busy recently the past few months, so don't take anything personal. Hey, you guys got me.
Hey,
yeah, we got you.
Yeah,
if anything, we'll just have you join every once in a while. We should just have you join come in for a stream once a month.
Yeah, unfortunately, I start a new job which involves 6.5 weeks of training come the end of this month, so I will be away for a period of time.
Gotcha.
Well,
he doesn't like us now because of our drama. All right,
I know.
Take us out, Connor.
Yeah, we have so much drama in the LBC.
Well, hold on again. Thanks again, Jonathan, for coming on and taking the time. I know you were only supposed to be on here for an hour. Ended up being an hour and 57 minutes. But thanks for your time, man. Thanks for coming on the show and taking your time out of your day to come on here and talk with us doofuses. So,
hey, guys, thanks for having me.
We do appreciate it.
I had a blast.
Yeah, we do appreciate it, man. And hopefully we can do this again sometime once you're done with your training and everything.
Yeah, reach out, guys. Stay in touch.
Definitely. Absolutely. Sure. Well, for Jonathan, go check out his channel. We'll put that.
And the link is in the description.
It is nice. So go check out his channel. It's an awesome place to see some college football stuff.
I still gotta watch the Dante Moore video. I'm super stoked about that kid. So I gotta watch that video for sure. For Lucas, his internet is never working. McKnight. For Ryan, it's gonna get better.
For Ryan, Notre Dame will not have the #1 class in 2023 Fravel. I am Connor. BT will not win a national championship ever. Doherty. This has been the Week 0 podcast coming to you from the basement in my house in Maryland. My location might change soon, but we'll get into it. I'm about to leave the studio. I swear to God. We'll end it now. Peace, guys.
Yep.